is a presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the Oklahoma Sports Network's consent is prohibited. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be used without express written consent.
Okay, we apologize for the delay there, but we are going on now on the Oklahoma Sports Network. It's another edition of the Mid-Dale Coaches Show. Jordan right here, happy to be joined by Coach Jaquez Washington. Of course, our sponsors for this, Toonie Buys Houses. We buy and renovate homes. We also lease and owner finance homes throughout the state of Oklahoma at 405-931-3046. And Intertwined Hearts Ministry, biblically-based counseling, mentoring, and spiritual direction for couples and adult individuals. Scott and Leisha Young both graduated from Midwest City, and their kids graduated from Midwest City as well. The address is 9107 East Reno Avenue. Okay, happy to be once again, like I said, joined by Midwest City head coach Jaquez Washington. Coach, when we look back to the Bishop McGuinness game, there's just a few different things that were interesting that were going on. One of them is I feel like this is you're seeing more sophisticated passing offenses now than maybe you did early in the season. And to their credit, they completed some long third down passes where, again, I thought you had your guys in position to make a play, and they just, for whatever reason, the Bishop McGuinness receiver made the play. And that happened maybe a few times. What was the biggest factor with some of those plays?
We just got to start realizing what situation we're in as far as, can we get two hands on the ball? If not, we got to go play through the man and get the ball out. Other times we are covering the guy and we can't get two hands on the ball, and so we got to look back for the ball. All in all, defensively, I think we tackled well and for the most part on most of the night fit the run game well. We just gave up a bunch of X plays in the passing game.
And how much of that is also the pass rush? Was it what you wanted it to be as far as getting pressure on their quarterback?
No, we're losing contain. Sometimes we're jumping out of our gaps, not respecting the integrity of the pass rush and understanding what our rush lanes are. So, a couple of those touchdowns, he rolled out of the pocket too easy without pressure. Was able to deliver a throw to work himself to get more time. So, just coaching that up this week, that we got to respect, we got to help our teammates and do our job. And so if it's my job to contain on the pass so the pressure in the pocket can get there, and then it works vice versa. So he can't step up and he can't roll out, and then we get a sack.
And then one struggle, that was a bigger struggle against Newcastle that I think got better after the first series or second series, was the offsides on a attempt to draw your player offsides, and it happened early in the game. But the thing about that is it happens at all levels of football. You'll see it in college, you'll see it in the NFL. What take us to the mind of a front guy on defense? What makes it challenging sometimes to avoid being drawn offsides on a hard count?
I guess for them it'll be the cadence of them simulating snapping the ball. Typically teams do it in pressure situations where it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 3. So you're thinking you need to fire off to stop the run and create pressure on the pass. And that's typically where people do it, and that's where it's caught us the last couple weeks.
And then I thought they had a good running back who had a couple of big plays early, but I thought your run defense got better. You did kind of address that a few minutes ago. Do you feel like you see that your rush defense is improving as far as you mentioned tackling and also assignment football?
Yeah, I think it's just tackling for the most part. And for the last couple of weeks, the plays that, we see people getting, we see us, it's either two guys in the gap or a guy not in his gap. And so, those are where the big plays happening. And then, some of those, extra yards, the hidden yardage in a football game is coming from missed tackles. And so, we just keep emphasizing tackling in practice and getting the ball on the ground. And, it's starting to improve. We came a long way from that Dale City game where they had 300 yards after contact.
And then, unfortunately, there was some, injuries again. It feels like the injuries have been on our side the last few games, and there's no avoiding that to some extent. Do you find that you have to, or is it even possible to coach players to minimize their chances of being injured?
No, you can't do that. This is a physical sport.
Right. But you did mention after the game and when talking to Tom Carpenter how you had some players that were playing that in positions they weren't expected to. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate more on some of that and how some of those players who are very young and haven't had a lot of experience this season, how they responded to that?
We had to play a couple different guys in the secondary for most of the game. So, Chris Crawford went out there and lined up at safety, something that he's not accustomed to. Even Lincoln, throwing him in at safety, throwing in Dede Cochran in at defensive back for a lot of the snaps in the game, and they did a good job just going out there and playing. And then, we just kind of willing and dealing. We threw 3 freshmen out there on the last drive defensively, let them get their feet wet. So it's with the injuries, the bang-ups and hang-ups, it's just, next man up and trying to coach them on the fly and just trying to get stuff done. But like I said, it was a fun game to coach, though.
And let's talk about a fun moment or a couple. The long touchdown from Lincoln King to young Mr. Cochran. What made that play work?
I think selling the run, get that safety to trigger up. And we had been showing them a look where we motioned that tight end that we were handing the ball off, and so that helped bite the safety up. We ran a good route. Precise, and Lincoln threw the ball on time so he can catch it and run and hit him in stride, and then we looked the ball in to the tuck, the simple things that you just coach and want to see. So, we aligned right. We executed the fake snap. We caught the ball on the run, looked it into the tuck, and then just split them. And so, it's not anything magical. It's not anything special. We just got to get more of that, and we can create plays like that when you just do the small things right.
And then your 2-point efficiency, I believe, is still 100%.
We believe it's still 100%.
And what can we credit this to? I mean, I wouldn't understand why you would always want to go for 2 for the rest of your coaching career the way it's been going so far.
We just need to be aligned at 2 yards for a touchdown, and then we can be 100% all the time. So every play we need to treat like a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, and also like on that play, Lincoln got rid of the ball quickly, so that I think that's good. And I really appreciate that after the game, you had a lot of enthusiasm talking with Tom. And I know it's. I've asked before about keeping a good attitude, but what gives you enthusiasm like that during a season like this where you've had to deal with adversity and injuries and stuff like that?
Like I said, you find small things, you find victories in the hidden stuff. Like I said when I started, we did tackle well. Well, we fixed tackling. We got to fix our coverage this week and then see if we can put those two together. We did throw and catch decent, good enough. We took the turnovers down from, 3 or 4 in a week to 2 to 1, I believe. We threw a pick last week. And so, you got to find small things. You got to find, people like Jaden Favors, getting off the ball and creating pressure and getting tackles for losses along with Roderick Dixon. So you just got to find, little things to say, that's a victorious moment. We punt the ball a lot. We hadn't had a block punt all year, knock on wood. And so, there is stuff out there that's happening. And if you just focus on results all the time, you'll be miserable in this profession. So you just see small things. People like the receiving core getting the line right. The delay of game might have been on my end early in the game because we didn't have the right personnel out there, but it had been because we were aligning wrong. We didn't have any illegal formations this game. Everybody was on the ball, was supposed to be on the ball, and people supposed to be off the ball were off the ball. So, there's stuff that's happening to where you can sit back and look at a head coach in this, this big view and say, there's things getting corrected and fixed. We just got to put a whole game together.
And you mentioned the punting, and yes, that was a couple close ones there. And with both Hayden Parent, I think, started punting at the end, and Dominique before that. And you did try a fake. Mm-hmm. Was that your call?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what went into your decision, if you can elaborate?
Well, I knew they was going to come after it. Mm-hmm. So we had been running that fake in practice with Aiden Sutton. And so, once he went down, we put Zoe Leverett out there. And it would have worked, but Zoe ended up shooting through the middle, and Dom started throwing where, he was where Aiden had been in practice. So, stuff like that. But I felt it was a good timing. Looking back at it, defense had come off 2 stops, and it was 14-0. Probably should have punted the ball. We were playing okay enough defensively to keep fighting, but I felt like it was a momentum moment where we needed to go make something happen.
Okay, and so another interesting thing was you didn't have Valor Vaughn. He got injured the week before. I don't know if it was during practice or a game. But the important thing is he wasn't there, so it was Lincoln King. You were riding him. And now no one really knows outside the program, so I'm on the outside looking in myself, who will be playing quarterback for you Thursday. And when you have that situation, do you like, keeping other teams maybe on their toes with that?
Yeah, we just we have 2 quarterbacks, both bring something to the table in different ways. Valor, fortunately, is still in concussion, he's in concussion protocol, so he's still going through those limbos. So Lincoln will be the quarterback this Thursday, backed up by Taheem Kemp. And so, Lincoln did some good things out there. Just got to keep working on this quarterback aspect of, timing on getting rid of the ball. He placed some great balls out there as far as, even, the fade early on that day they dropped. It was a good placement. He gave us a chance to catch it. And then just trying to do too much when he threw the interception. Just got to know when it's a play that's done. Just get rid of the ball. So, like I said, the timing and those aspects of the passing game will continue to develop and continue to come together.
Okay, so this is a Thursday game that you knew was on Thursday. It's been on fall break Thursday, so that's
we should try to get more that we don't know when it is. We play well that game.
I have a theory about that. I'm going to tell you later. But anyway, so with a short week, I think I already talked about you guys were going hard at it today.
Yes, sir.
2 days. I don't know if that's what you normally do on a Wednesday or anything, but what's the preparation been like on a short week?
Try to kind of condense it, but we got a lot of stuff going in this week as far as offense and defensively. So the work is the work. You got to get full speed reps so we can see it and analyze it and break it down so you can figure out what you can carry, what the kids can retain. Try to get a good eye on what Lawton Mack does well and how we believe they're going to attack us, and then kind of try to make it a mental day tomorrow.
And of course, you mentioned Lawton Mack. They've had a very good year so far. Their only loss was early in the season to Elgin, and Elgin's really good at 4A. So They've been putting up points as well, so it's similar to McGinnis and Newcastle. They have a high-powered offense. What else can you say about Lawton Mac?
They got a couple great defenders in the secondary. They got a couple big kids up front. They're physical. They're playing well right now. You know, they do some good things as far as offense. They really run the ball really well, and that's where they kind of want to beat you and beat you down. And so I believe they're going to attack us, you know, as far as running the ball and taking shots with those two kids on the perimeter, two good players.
And have you ever played in Lawton before?
No, I have not.
Okay, I didn't know maybe when you were in Owasso playing if you played Lawton High or Lawton Hike. But,
no, sir.
Okay, so first time down in Lawton. So something to look forward to there. And then are you looking forward to fall break?
Yes, but when you're a football coach, you're a football player, you really don't get the full benefits of fall break. So we got a game, and then we got a game versus Classen next Friday. We got a JV game versus Deer Creek on Monday, and so we'll be out here practicing on Monday while all the other students are sitting at home, and wouldn't want it any other way.
All right, but it's nice if you have the longest trip of the season on a Thursday. No school the next day.
Yes, sir.
So we're happy about that, and Monday you can practice whenever you want.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, and I had to change it as you were looking on the screen there. It's Thursday. We're 2 days away from Lawton MacArthur taking on Midwest City. Again, the Bombers still control their destiny when it comes to the playoffs. So still an opportunity for them. Lawton MacArthur, of course, playing very well, and we'll have the usual pregame coverage at 6:30. Kickoff at 7. It's the Highlanders and the Bombers. We look forward to bringing that to you. All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time as always. And that'll do it for another edition of the Midwest City Coaches Show right here on the Oklahoma Sports Network.
Thanks for watching this presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.